Omar.
What's up?
What's up, everybody? How we all doing?
Good?
Oh, yeah, I'm sure.
I'm doing great.
Back from a crazy cruise for you?
Back from a crazy cruise. Great vacation. Ready to be back here doing this and getting back to work.
Nice. So we are joined again by Joe Stevenson, and we are here with the new lightweight
Golfers clap.
HFN champ, Omar Riyadh. Omar the Holy Hand Riyadh. I don't think, you don't have a nickname, do you?
Kind of. Like my family and friends, they say Esed, which means like lion in Arabic.
Oh,
But it's not. I don't think it's my official.
Why don't we just call you Omar the Lion?
Because I feel like, I mean, we can. I feel like you can't give your own nickname, though.
I mean, you got to.
It's always
Yeah, wait, who gave you the nickname? Not you.
No, like it's just like
You know you can't give yourself.
I know,
nickname,
It's
yeah.
an Iraqi thing. Like every Iraqi person.
He's trying real hard.
I've had a couple fighters that are like, oh yeah, the Joker, and then they would put it, and I was like, it's not what I said.
bad luck.
Yeah,
Bad luck.
To give yourself.
No, yeah, like every Iraqi person.
I've never seen it work out well.
He's like, call me Eagle.
No, that's funny.
He's right now. He's like, that's funny, but he's like,
Damn, bro, I really thought about calling myself that before.
Yeah, I know.
Anthony calls me Baby Khabib, but that's just his
want that?
personal.
That's a good name.
Well, it's because he's your favorite person.
No, that's just me and Anthony's nickname for each other. You know?
Anthony and I.
Yes, Anthony and I.
So how did you get started in MMA?
First I got into wrestling in 8th grade.
Did you start training out here?
No, that's I lived in Poway, same city as Jeff.
Power wrestling, baby.
Wrestled in Twin Peaks 8th grade, and then over the summer after graduating 8th grade into freshman year, I wrestled over the summer with Poway High School and just started wrestling with them.
Because you said you're originally from Iraq, right?
Yeah, I was born.
How old were you when you left?
We moved here in 2012, so I was about like 8-9 years old. I was in like 2nd grade.
Oh, okay. So kind of like you have a little bit of memories over there, but mainly more of your stuff's over here.
Yeah,
Nice.
I've lived more here than I have there.
Do you have any like memories from when you lived over there?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, there's good memories. Like a lot of family, a lot of going to school early in the morning, crying on my way to school because I don't want to go to school.
Those are the best problems to have when you're a little kid, and you're like mad at little things like that. You grow up and you understand like it's way worse.
I would kill to have my worst
Problems be going to school. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
To be an adult.
Like imagine grabbing little you and you're like, one day you're gonna have to pay a mortgage. Yeah. And you're not gonna be able to afford it.
Yeah, you're not gonna be able to afford it. You're not gonna be able to do what you want with your time all the time. You know.
Yeah. You're like, what?
Yeah, it's like a weird thing. They make you try to get in debt. They almost enslave you as an adult with debt so that you constantly have to work, and then instead of working for yourself, you have to work for other people because it's too hard to start off young. I think a lot of people like figure that out, too late, and then but it's not too late because when you figure it out, that's the right time. That's the time that it was planned.
I think it's mainly just brutal that you can't claim bankruptcy on that. And it's like a choice you make when you're like 18 years old.
Yeah.
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 I remember thinking I was so smart when I was 18 years old, but now I look back and I'm like, oh my God, I was an idiot.
Yeah.
Well, we're programmed, right? We're programmed for that. Like legitimately, I was talking to my buddy Jonathan Tucker, and he's like, these guys that are in college and think they're so smart because they're in college, and that makes them smart when it's the life experiences, and really they're just being indoctrinated with things and coming into and saying, yeah, I was told I'm smart, so I am smart. But you're told you're smart because you're doing what they want you to do, and you're setting it up the way you want it to set up instead of like homeschool kids. Like I've noticed a big difference in my homeschool kids compared to like the kids that came up in public school. Like they have the ability to keep their family's values, but and they also get a little bit more focused on. When you're in a public school, you got 30 kids in the class, and you got 6 to 7 teachers a day, and so you're a number. It's a game. Like they raise money for, like when you miss school, I think the school misses out on like $700. That's why it's so important for like school programs that encourage perfect attendance, things like that. Why do they give you an award for perfect attendance? Just showing up. It's an award because they want to encourage it, because it's also a way to receive financial compensation through the government. Just like you used to be able to, for homeschool in California, they would actually have allocated funds to give you and your family. Like they would give you like, oh, you're homeschooled, so here's extra money to homeschool your kid.
Right.
They're getting away from that because why make it easier?
Yeah.
Well, they also, I don't think they're a huge fan of all these homeschool kids not getting indoctrinated in what.
Well, yeah. I think that's really happened in the last 10 years. I'm a young adult, and I went to school, I graduated 2014, so the last 10 years has kind of been like public schools have had more of the pushing certain beliefs on the kids, and politics gets involved, especially in the last 10 years. That's when it's been the most controversial in U.S. history, I think. And so, yeah, it's like a overstep of the schooling systems, the public school system, to,
Yeah, there was just those. There was just those. You see those middle schoolers. There's these middle school girls that I think they were doing shot put or some kind of sport, but they had to compete against a man in one of the middle school tournaments, and they didn't want to compete against him because he was absolutely wrecking everybody like in the bracket, and they suspended them. They weren't allowed to do sports anymore. And then it's just funny because like after that, like he ended up winning the tournament.
Yeah.
So then it was like they were right. They didn't have to compete. Like
Right, he was going to win
yeah,
anyway.
I'm not gonna have a shot. Like, why are you gonna suspend me for that?
I just don't know why our society pretends that we can be a certain thing when we can't. And it's like, if I say I want to be an animal, can I just say, call me by a bird? Like, like nowadays it's like, well, that you could argue for that because people are literally like, I identify as whatever, but it's like God made us a certain way, and you're given that from birth. You don't really have any deciding factor in that and how you identify yourself, in my opinion.
Well, fighting helps us though, because fighting, like, if you take shortcuts, sometimes you get like bad results. A lot of times you get bad results. It teaches us that the hard thing necessarily tends to be the right thing to do, but if you do the easy thing first, it kind of gets hard. Like if you just take like a bunch of easy fights and you don't build properly, and then when you get in there, so your opportunity, and you're not ready for the opportunity, and then you fail, was that what it was about? Is just getting there, or was there a greater purpose? And then you got to appreciate the journey. You got to be able, like as a fighter, I'll tell most of the guys, get comfortable with the way you're living. That way, when you get a fight check, you could take 80% of that and put it into savings, and you could take that other 20% and you divvy it out to the people that are supposed to get it and yourself, and it's a little bump, but there's no real retirement except for in California now. If you do 10 contracted fights for 3 rounds, that's 30 rounds, and then you qualify, I think, at 45 for retirement in MMA in the state of California.
Yeah, I'm pretty close.
We were discussing that.
We're discussing that. Yeah, I think I have probably, I'm right there. I don't know. I'd have to count.
Then we need one more.
Probably. Yeah, probably.
Because what do you had? Oh, well, I guess the other ones.
Well, I've had 5 rounds.
Well, no, they always have 3. Oh,
Contracted, yeah. So
is it pro fights then?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So none of the amateur stuff counts.
No, but I have a lot of pro fights in California.
Well, we did the numbers. I think you only need like 2 or 3 more.
Yeah.
So just what we've learned: don't knock out anybody.
No, contracted rounds.
Contracted rounds.
Contracted rounds.
Not how long the fight goes.
Oh, so it doesn't matter time-wise.
10 guys in the first round, and you had 3 rounds scheduled contracted.
Oh, so then knock out everybody.
Yeah, we continue to,
In only 2 states, if a fight goes past the halfway point, does it go to the scorecards? Most states, it says it has to be complete over halfway of the rounds. So like, if we're in California and he gets a cut to his opponent with an elbow or a headbutt by accident, so it's gonna be a no contest unless he's completed the first and second round. So if that illegal move or if that accidental illegal move happened in the 3rd round, at any point, it can go to the scorecards. If the in New York, and I want to say, I like Minnesota or one of the other states, if you actually pass the halfway point, it goes to the scorecards. And I think that was a rule that kind of came over from boxing because they do so many rounds, whereas we do 3 to 5, which is a little different, and our time is longer. That may be something that needs to be addressed. Like for MMA, it should just be completing the halfway point of time instead of completed rounds. But that's just something that's going to get lost in in the mess of everything until we can sit down and be like, oh, hey guys, by the way, you'd have to go to the ABC Athletic Commission and write up a proposal saying, well, in MMA, it should be across the board halfway. Whereas in boxing, if they're doing 12 rounds, that means you have to complete the 6th round. When in MMA, we do 3.
Yeah, that's so crazy that they do that.
Oh, it's such
I actually just watched a video with DC the other day that made me think, where he was talking about like how much more dangerous boxing is.
yeah.
And I think it makes a lot of sense what he was talking about, where like they get 10 seconds to kind of like get some sense of like coherence back. So they take way more hits after they've been potentially concussed than somebody in like a UFC fight.
Well, so what is the purpose in boxing is to knock the guy out. That is the ultimate goal. You can get doctor stoppage, you can get a knockout, you can get a TKO, but it's head trauma. The reason they wear the glove is not to protect your hand. That's what the wrap is for. The glove is to displace the blow. So now you can take more blows. So boxers used to say when I was starting, like, oh, well, MMA fighters have no chins. But the lack of the surface area with the impact zone of the head causes a greater chance of the knockout than a displaced blow, which is going to allow you still took the absorption of the blow, but it displaced it across your whole head instead of one key point, which allows you to take more damage. So, I mean, it is, that is crazy.
I mean, are you guys aware of any like deaths or anything like that? Like with boxing, it seems like it happens in boxing all the time.
I think it's like 1.7 times a year somebody passes away in boxing. Whereas I'm sure it's happened in MMA. You hear about it, and then people will be like, well, that was unregulated, or that was this, or that was that.
I feel like it's the weight cutting mostly.
For the MMA, yeah.
I was just watching a documentary about Dillashaw when he was cutting for that
25?
fight.
Yeah. He looked gnarly. I've seen that documentary.
It is wild.
Yeah, he cut a lot of weight. He probably shouldn't have done it in hindsight, I'm sure.
Well, it's wild because they were talking about, I think he was already like almost 8% body fat before he was doing the cut.
Yeah.
So it's like by then you're like,
Bro, you're lean.
there's nothing left of you, dude. It's like, it's crazy.
More importantly, I think it's how you put it back on too afterwards. Like the fact that they'll say, oh, you can't use an IV because the plastics cover up they mask the steroids, the half-lives and the things in the steroids, or the masking agents that people will use derived from plastic and this. I don't see how that's allowed, but yet they're saying that that's it. Well, I think it just gives them more faster knockouts, like easier knockouts. You're going to get more knockouts if the guys are dehydrated, because if they cared, they would be hydrated fully, and you'd see a rock'em sock'em fight. The fact that they allow like 500 cc's of an IV in, well, shoot, that has you're actually in the UFC and stuff. From what I understand, like some people can get 500 cc's of fluids back into their system.
I think you have to be like recommended that or something by a professional
but they allow people to pull blood out and then put it back in.
Oh, in UFC?
Oh, it's happened.
But that doesn't mean they allow it.
No.
Okay, you said they allowed it.
If it happened, they allowed it.
But I don't. Did they know that happened?
they allow it?
Yeah, I've
Under the
never
books,
heard
or-
of anybody
Wasn't there
pulling blood and then
am I
putting it back in.
Am I mistaken, or didn't I think in Abu Dhabi one of the fighters pull blood, or and then go weigh in? I believe it was as early as Abu Dhabi.
No way.
I don't
That's,
think so.
That sounds like some
I
witch
don't think so.
doctor
I don't-
shit.
People at home, please, if you could, write in the comments and let us know if you know that exact fact, because I don't want to state anything that isn't true, but I'm pretty sure I heard that has happened, and I would love to be like right on this.
What do you usually cut?
Water wise, no more than 5 pounds.
So you pretty close to
Yeah, I diet down, lose as much body fat, like real actual weight as possible close to the fight, and then from there only cut like 4 to 5 pounds of water
Oh, that's nice. Seems like a good way to do it.
at most.
And he's performing the same day weigh-in, so it's like, yeah, you don't want to cut a bunch of weight anyway, because you don't have that much time to rehydrate.
You can only metabolize 2.5 pounds of fat a week. Like, not metabolize, but burn. Anything else, it's like protein and stuff like that.
You said 2.5 pounds.
Of fat a week, healthy. So like, you can ideally in a month lose 10 pounds, but without losing muscle mass. And then you could cut, they say healthy without needing an IV, 10% and up to 20%. But at that point you're looking, and that's what these guys that are huge are doing.
So like 200, you get down to like 180, 185.
If you're 200 pounds, you can cut to 180 in water weight. But if that's 20%, so then, or is that 10%?
10%.
10%? You're way better at math than me. But you can do that because you have it. But when you're like 155 and cut into 25s, you don't have that. So you're actually pulling through, there's fluid that's in your organs, there's fluid that's in your muscles, and then there's just regular fluid you're putting in. And so when you know how to do it properly and put it back on, it is an advantage. I think California, is the first state to reinstate that. You can't put on more than like 10%, 15%.
Didn't they get rid of that?
It was just voted on, but because they wanted to readjust the rule, and I think that rule will be coming back at the next. It'll be on the voting block for everyone.
How does that work in California as far as things getting put on the voting block, like for the California State Athletic Commission?
Well, you'd have to submit it, but
Okay.
prior to that happening. But really, California kind of sets standards. Like they're a mark of excellence considered as a commission. They're one of the best in the world.
Right.
You see people like Andy Foster literally pushing for things like a retirement for MMA fighters, like things like that. He's also, I believe, one of the top guys, or at least his input is really highly thought after or looked as
Respected
very respected at the ABC Athletic Commission. I believe he's on the board there too.
Oh, okay.
We'll have to look that one up.
Yeah.
So your title fight. Me and Jeff were actually talking about this in the last one. Was that the first fight that your dad went to?
Yeah, that was the first fight, or first time my dad watched me fight like MMA. Yeah. He's been to my jiu-jitsu tournaments and like wrestling matches before, but that was his first time seeing me in the cage.
Nice. How was that?
That was a good one to first see, be your first one.
It was exciting. There's a lot of emotions.
Yeah.
I think that's why I got suspended. I ran out of the
Oh, they suspended you?
yeah, like part of it, obviously like medical suspension, but I think Coach Joe said like the main
Well, you ran into the doctor that was coming in to check out the opponent.
Yeah.
And then when you ran into him, you pushed him into an official by accident. And
Sorry.
Sorry, sir.
and that official, his name, that's Mike. Mike is one of the best officials out there. Ex-Marine, works out like really hard for like knows the game. So like when something like that occurs, it brings a level of unprofessionalism, which at the whole purpose of an amateur career is to develop professionalism. Like the only reason you do amateur is so that you understand what it takes. Look at them. They start with 3 2s, then 3 3s. So you go from 6 minutes to 9 minutes, and then your entry pro fight is going to be 15 minutes. It's very important to see that you can go 15 minutes. There's that gap that probably needs to be addressed. Hopefully, state titles should be 5 3s. But that would be something that would have to be argued at the commission and brought up. But that's something that I think is really important for a test, because a lot of these guys, they turn pro after like 5 or 6 amateur wins. They've never fought past 9 minutes. They do not understand. Maybe your body is set for 10, and then you got to go 5 more. or the difference between a 3-minute round and a 5-minute round. I notice a lot of our guys when they go in there and they're doing 2s, they're so used to doing 5s with the pros because they're good that they're feeling out, and the aggressor tends to win it because if the judges don't have something to score, they're gonna fall back on aggression.
Right.
And if it's that fast, it's very, unless it's one-sided, very difficult to say, well, that guy was countering every time, or that guy was just chasing him. Especially that the difference in the amateur cages are much smaller than the big cages. And so all of a sudden you need to know how it feels like when you can't take somebody down, or how you can move and outposition them without having to worry about running into the fence.
Yeah.
I mean, at the top levels, these are negotiated in boxing rings and in cages. Like, there's a big difference fighting in the apex cage compared to fighting in their big cage. And a lot of people don't understand that.
Their size difference?
Absolutely, because of the venues. Another 3 feet out is 6 feet. 3 feet on the outside is 6 feet on the inside, because it's 3 feet this way, 3 feet that way. Like, it is vastly.
Oh, so the fight night one's a lot smaller.
Usually when they have the fight nights at the Apex, they use the smaller cage.
Smaller cage, yeah.
Which is about our size, which is really convenient.
Yeah. Yeah.
The Apex guy or the...
This is about the apex size.
I think the UFC, the big UFC cage is bigger than this one.
Oh, it is? I thought this was
By another 6 feet, 3 on the outside.
That's crazy.
a giant cage.
Yeah.
I actually really like that they started doing those fight nights though,
Oh, at the
because you can get it with the UFC Fight Pass or whatever. So like it's like the monthly or whatever, and then you can see the fights.
yeah.
They got some good ones coming up.
Yeah.
They got that Edson Barbosa one's gonna be pretty sweet.
Yeah, I think
I've
they
always been a big Edson Barbosa guy.
They've got 2 fight nights in May, and then June is just stacked. June's every week.
Yeah, at the end of this, what I'll probably do, I want to have pick up the winners fight card wise for
Oh, yeah.
Makachev Poirier card.
I already know who he's voting for. And I would agree with him. I think Makachev beats Poirier.
You think so?
Yeah, I think so.
I don't know, bro. My heart.
Oh, I love Poirier, but Makachev's on top of his game. Poirier's been there, done that, but I think slowly coming to like his end of his career, I would say.
But that's why we like to watch the fights, because we're going to find out.
Yeah, that's very true. That's just like the Max Holloway Justin Gaethje fight. Everybody thought that Justin was going to beat Max for the most part.
Yeah.
And then Max just went out there and did his thing. So
I thought that Max was going to be able to outposition in volume. I didn't think the ending was going to be the way.
like that, no, I don't think anybody could have. Yeah.
Speed kills. So it's like look at you.
Yeah,
You were going up and we're a little bit smaller, but you don't play into let's go muscle for muscle. You're using your speed, you're using your motion and your movement, and that's lethal.
Yeah.
I kind of looked at that fight that way. And I really like Gaethje.
Yeah.
I think he's smart too to stand down, because they were trying to put him right back in after that in like within 6 months.
Yeah.
And for him to make a clear choice, especially with probably the amount of money they're throwing at him, to say yeah to that, very, very disciplined to say, no, I need to recover. I need to give my body a chance to recover so I can be 100% when I get in there.
That's what I wish they did with Volk a little bit.
Oh yeah. They should have. I heard too. I think it was the Max Holloway podcast with Joe Rogan. He was saying Freddie Roach when Manny Pacquiao got knocked out by Marquez, he made him sit out for a year, do nothing for just a year because of how bad the knockout was. And he's like, your brain literally just got reset. Like, your body needs time. And so Gaethje being like, hey, I need 6 months off is probably pretty smart after a knockout like that.
Oh yeah. That was not a good one. No. That's the thing though too, is I don't think people understand that like you have to take care of your brain, because your brain isn't like the rest of your body.
Yeah.
You can't condition your brain.
Somebody might drink a little bit, like they drink a little bit excessively, but if you stop, your liver can regenerate the cells that are damaged, provided that it's not too damaged beyond repair. Your brain cells don't
Do that.
Once they're gone, they're gone.
Yeah.
You know, there's no getting them back.
Yep.
So you got to do everything you can to take care of it.
Right.
You know.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to shift gears. Go back to this, man.
Yeah, you kind of quiet.
Now that you're Hendo's fight night champ, what's the goal from here? Where do we go?
Keep winning.
Okay. Give me like Where do you see yourself in a year? What do you expect for the next year?
In a year, I turned 20 in July.
Okay.
In a year, I'd be 21, almost turning 22.
Yeah.
Hoping to be wrapping up my amateur career about that point, I think, hopefully. My goal is to come back in August and get super active from there, stay healthy, win like 3-4 more fights, hopefully challenge for a state title,
Yeah.
maybe do the IMMAFs next year.
Maybe take a fight in another state that'll allow you to do 5 3s so you understand what 15 minutes feels like too.
Do other states do that?
For amateurs?
Yep.
Really? I didn't know that.
So there's the fact that California has a policy, but other states allow, knees to the head, heel hooks. So there's
Texas allows
every state is different with the regulation of sport. It's still the Wild West.
It's kind of like stages here, right? So like you start with shin pads.
Yeah, like your first two
then,
fights.
Was it 2 fights? And then you can take the shin pads off. And then from there, you just keep doing it, but without shin pads.
When you're fighting in the shin pads, 2-minute rounds without 3-minute rounds.
Okay, so then they add another.
They add another minute to each round.
But then rules are the same.
Same rules are the same. Yeah.
But I think it also depends on the opponent you fight. So my second fight, leading into my third fight with Toby,
Umar?
going into Omar was my second fight.
Yeah, that's what you're saying.
So that one was with shin guards. My third fight, I was told it was going to be without shin guards because my opponent was coming from Ohio without shin guards.
Yep.
But then right before we walked out, they're like, "Hey, so are you wearing shin guards or not?" Because the rules changed. But since we were already preparing for no shin guards because of the rule set that he's coming from in Ohio, we just decided to take them off in the third fight.
Right.
But that was good to get the feet wet because I was not super nervous, but I had that like lingering in the back of my head, like wondering what it's going to be like fighting for the first time without shin guards. And I'm glad that I didn't have them my third fight because it wasn't in my mind in my last fight with Leandro.
Yeah, that was a interesting fight, the Toby one.
Yeah.
That one was pretty wild too. You had some wild fights here, bro.
Yeah, seriously. You got what? Decision, you were caught in a submission for about the whole entire round.
Yeah, round 3.
And then you've got
But then you kind of ragdolled him after that.
KO and submission.
Before.
Or was it before the headlock?
Yeah, the first two rounds, I was in control. I got the takedowns, had the back control, and then in the third round, that's when I shot in on a single leg, and then he got that ninja choke.
Yeah, but if I'm not mistaken, you rocked after getting out of that. You rocked him standing, right? Like there was a moment, or it was a slam. You rocked him. I think you rocked him, or you slammed him, and you could tell that like you knew you had to get the round back. You got to understand. So the way that most of the judges look, like if you ended the round in a submission, of course they're going to look at it like, man, most of this round was in a submission. Like he was in danger of losing the fight. But if you rock somebody too, guess what? That takes that, depending upon who the judges are and where they feel like, well, you were in a submission for a minute and a half, and it was tight and it was good, but you didn't get finished.
Yeah.
And with 5 seconds left, you rocked him and he was on wobbly legs, or you slammed him and his wobbly legs. So they look at that as like, well, that was almost more fight ending than the submission because the submission came and gone. Mm-hmm. But that rock, that was instant. And so I think that's where it's important to know who the judges are. It's very difficult though to game plan for judges. You're not going to know who's assigned to it.
You can't game plan. You just got to fight.
But at the top levels,
If you see how they're scoring the fights ahead of time.
Mayweather brings in all of his people. That's his ref. Those are his judges. It's his promotion. Yeah. So, guess not. But when you take a fight against Mayweather, you know that you're going to be getting paid. So you sacrifice that security for that thing. It's like taking a fight in Mexico City against somebody that's from Mexico City and they're used to the altitude and the smog.
Yeah.
It's going to be.
It's like going to anybody's hometown and fighting them.
Well, you're used to that.
Yeah, and in a weird way that's like
you thrive.
Yeah, because I'm like I know I gotta absolutely dominate her. The fight's gonna be given to them.
Was that not the last one, but was it the one before?
We've always looked at all of them like
all of them have been kind of like that since Yeah, I mean, I've been to Arkansas. I've kind of fought in all over the place. Visalia, I fought their guy. He was a North Cal kind of guy. I've fought in a lot of guys in their hometown.
Those were
Fought back in Maryland.
How long of a camp did you have for your last one? Like a month?
3 weeks.
Oh.
3 weeks. Yeah.
I had a feeling that one was kind of short.
Do you like being the blue corner or the red corner? Do you like coming out first and or second?
None of that matters to me. I mean, I don't have like a preference even. Like I don't even have a preference. Like I just don't.
Do you prefer to fight at the end of the card or the beginning?
Oh, I love being the main event.
I feel like it depends. It depends on your walkout though, because if you're like an Alex Pereira, I want that fucking guy in the cage already.
Yeah, with the bow, with the bow and arrow.
I would want to be. I would want him in there, bro.
Yeah.
but
Put him in there.
when he's already the champ.
Yeah.
I want him to come out first.
Well, that's even worse. It's just like
The champ comes out second. That's what.
Well, so normally the more experienced fighter or the higher ranked fighter come out second. They adjust it sometimes, like when you have a ticket seller that's sold out more tickets, maybe especially on the smaller shows. But in the UFC, it tends to be the champ or the higher ranked fighter is coming out of the red corner.
yeah. Who has your favorite walkout?
Oh, that's a good one.
Pereira comes to mind. His walkouts.
The one walkout that I was dying laughing. This was a long time ago. Was when Mike Perry walked out and they put on Halo. Oh my gosh, that was one of my favorite walkouts. And Mike Perry's just a character, so he started singing along with it. He was singing it I forget who he was fighting, but he was literally singing the song to him. When he was in the cage. You're like, all right, dude.
It's because they mixed up his walkout song.
But he just went with it like a fighter should.
He just went with it.
Clay Guida, like you can always count on rocking out to whatever song he picks. And he's rocking out there with you because you're watching me like, yeah. I've always loved that.
My favorite was probably oh my god, what card was it? The Volkanovski walkout in Australia.
Oh, okay.
I come from a land down under. The people like, dude, that is the best freaking walkout ever.
Anytime you're walking out in front of your people.
And you have everybody singing the song at the same exact time.
Yeah.
Like I probably not since when McGregor had that. I always forget what her name is, but that singer
Yeah.
who sang that song.
I know what you're talking about.
Oh, that one was wild.
That was the only time the UFC ever had like artists sing live as people walked out.
Yeah, I think so.
I think it was the only one.
She passed away not too long after that too. So that was cool.
Yeah.
Pretty sure she passed away.
That was the fight.
The cranberry singer?
Yeah, no, the
Irish folks. It was like an Irish folk singer.
Sinead O'Connell?
I think it's Sinead O'Connell. That sounds.
did she pass away? Am I tripping?
I don't know. Once again, we're going to have to hear about this. He's Googling it.
I'm gonna feel really bad if I just said this lady's dead.
Yeah, and she's not.
Quit telling everyone.
I think that was the Chad Mendes fight though. I'm pretty sure that was the only time they allowed people to like walk out.
Chad took that fight on 2 weeks' notice.
He took that fight on no notice. Yeah.
But that's the thing is like, I was talking to this guy that was just going to officiating school, and I was like, man, I hate to see fights where, the thing is you're supposed to stay ready so that an opportunity
Yeah, I'm right.
opens up.
2023.
Okay, good. Thank God you're right. Yeah.
I thought I had read that. I was like, oh man.
Or not, thank God, over it. She was...
Yeah, that's kind of rude.
Wow, I'm an asshole now.
All right. So we're going to go through the UFC 302 card. So this is how we're going to do it. I'm going to get all of your guys' picks for the card.
Okay.
Winner of this card is the lucky winner of lunch at Chipotle.
I like that.
And basically what it would be is the person who does the worst on the picks buys the lunch.
Okay.
And then the other two people, one of them gets the guac, the other one gets the chips.
Oh. Okay.
You get guac and chips at Chipotle? When you order a burrito?
You have to order extra.
Yeah, no, that's extra.
Yeah, it's extra.
Oh, so now you're ordering a burrito and guac and chips.
Yeah, but only so like each of you pay for one thing. Yeah.
I get what he's saying.
So whoever does the worst obviously has to pay the most, All right.
You pay separate for the chips and the guac, or is that one?
Honestly, like it's
I'm confused.
chips are like $1.
No, but
You got to go to Chipotle.
well, no,
Well,
you
I'll take you
have-
to Chipotle.
We'll get you on that rewards program.
I like how we're
you the
arguing about the
points.
Chipotle, not the
No,
fight.
I get
Are you on that? I've been getting all them on that rewards program. I was like, dude,
Yeah, you have the app.
For what?
Chipotle.
No.
We gotta get them on the app, bro.
get on the app, bro.
You can get free stuff.
I get free food all the time. They love me.
Yeah.
A lot of times I'm just always in there like.
Do we get to look at the odds like you do? Or are you gonna show us?
I'm gonna. Well, honestly, so for this one, for this one's, there's no odds yet. So I feel like for this one, it's the most complete card. So like as far as like going down a list, I feel like this one makes the most sense to do. But they don't have the odds out yet because it's not until June 1st.
That's fine.
Dude, June is stacked, like you said.
There's four.
Connor Chandler's that month too.
All right, so Islam versus Dustin. We'll get Joe.
Why do I have to go first?
You don't have to go first.
Which fight are we going
We should
off of
start
first?
bottom to top.
You want to go bottom to top?
Yeah, let's go bottom to top.
This one's an interesting one. So Caesar Almeida versus Roman Kopylov. You know,
Kopylov just because he's Russian.
dude, Kopylov.
I know more of Kopylov.
Up until his last fight, he was starching fools.
Yeah.
Like he knocked out the last 4 guys he fought like in amazing fashion.
I got Kopylov.
I
Let
like
me
that.
see the other guy's face.
Do you know him by their face? See, that's the hard part.
I know that guy.
That's the hard part with this is there's so many fighters.
He signed with Iridium, I think.
So that's the Russian.
Kopylov. And
that's Roman. All right.
You're like, oh, but he's Brazilian.
Yeah. No. Well, I think if we're gonna probably all pick kind of close the same. So on that one, I would assume.
You know what? I'll go Almeida. You guys can.
I
get
was
Kopylov.
just
You guys
gonna
can get
say that,
Kopylov.
and
I'll
you
get
saw what
Almeida.
I was gonna say. You guys were all about the Russian.
I'm sticking with the Russian, bro.
Okay. I'll stay. I'll go Almeida.
Okay.
I'm gonna go Almeida too.
You guys are gonna get starched. We might both get Chipotle.
Head kick round 2.
Are you guys just gonna pick the same answers?
Yeah, pretty much.
I
mean,
Me
there's
and
only
Joe
2
are in this
choices.
together.
There's only
Me
2
and Joe are in this
choices.
together.
There's not much else
There's
to.
4 of us here. Like the odds that we pick different is kind of hard.
Yeah.
Okay.
5 fights.
Dos Santos versus Brown.
Which round?
Randy Brown.
At welterweight.
I respect the Dos Santos name though, so I'm going to Santos.
I'll go with my boy Randy.
I also will go with Brown because I respect Matt Brown.
Just bringing other people's names into this.
Well, that's what you were doing.
The way we're picking these fights,
Yeah, if you're counting, we'd just be honest. But
we're not like ESPN analytic. You know.
Well, to be fair, like, do we really know all these guys?
No.
That's why I said we should just do the main card.
that's where the UFC is.
Is that the main?
Yeah.
I think this is part of the main
Okay.
card, yeah,
Alright, cool.
because there's only 2 other fights above that.
Cool. Yeah, you're right. That's on the main.
Yeah. Dos
I like how
Santos,
your
what do you
spell
got?
check
Brown.
is like
Randy Brown.
on the Kopylov. It's like it's spelt wrong.
Yeah. Well, anything Russian is wrong.
I hate it when you write it in and you try to fix it and it's wrong and you're like no, but that's right, and then it autocorrect.
Yeah, he said Brown too.
Okay. Shoot.
You're the only guy with Dos Santos.
I'm the only guy. He's got a bunch of tattoos though, and he looks mean. So
Those don't mean anything. Tattoos don't mean nothing.
this is an interesting one. Sean Strickland and Paulo Costa.
Yeah, Strickland.
Strickland.
Oh, come on.
It's a 3-rounder, right? It's not 5.
This guy.
Like
This guy.
he thinks that makes a difference. Do you think?
If it's 5 rounds, I'm for sure gonna lean more
I
towards
don't
Sean.
know if Costa has wine before the match.
If he makes weight.
Yeah. Oh yeah. You know what?
Am I the only one that thinks that Costa should just like stop fighting and become like a male model or some shit?
No.
Like his
I
life would
agree.
his life would be so much easier, bro.
Hey, his fight with Whitaker, his last fight with Whitaker was good. He had him on skates at the end of the first round
Yeah.
with that spin kick.
I don't know about referring to anyone that they should quit their job and
Sean
change the male. I don't know if you were kidding there.
No, he's just.
Who are you going with?
Like,
The male model.
I'm just saying, like,
He's going Costa?
when you look at Strickland versus like him, like he's just like a Greek god, bro. Like
Yeah.
he's shredded out of his mind.
That's true.
I wouldn't be surprised if Strickland is just like a little too gun shy and then somehow manages to
You
lose
think
the
so?
rounds.
I don't think he'll be
Have you ever noticed him to be gun shy though?
His last fight, I feel like there was a lot of times where he could have thrown more out there. than
I definitely
against Dricus.
Dricus is so awkward. They're both awkward, man. They're so awkward.
It's weird because awkward's not bad.
No.
It's just unusual, which makes it hard.
Hard to deal with. Yeah.
I will say that he's definitely like, even the way he moves,
Yeah.
like he seems like kind of rigid, but he has like a, I don't know.
A slither to him? What are you doing?
I don't know, dude.
He's just a competitor. He just knows how to dig deeper.
He's definitely got that dog. All right, so everybody says Strickland.
Did you say Strickland?
Yeah, I'm gonna say Strickland for sure. I always roll with Strickland.
And then we're going main event.
I just like him because he just brings the ruckus, dude.
He brings the ruck.
He brings the ruckus.
Looks like we're gonna get.
Yeah, I think
Screw it, I'm
so.
switching to Costa. Go Costa.
Oh, he's going Costa.
Oh my.
Last minute change.
I have to hear about this. I only did that because
Okay.
Islam Poirier. I'm going Islam.
Why?
He's on top of his game.
Because
Yeah, and he's like, not that he has anything more to prove, but he's only had the belt for a very short time, and I just feel like he's ahead of his time.
This one will be a really interesting fight to me if it ends up going into the later round.
where is this fight held?
this New Jersey, Newark.
Yeah, Newark.
I'm gonna go with Poirier.
There you go, Poirier. I just think after Poirier getting knocked out by Justin,
But how long ago was that?
not very long.
June of last year, wasn't it?
What was it? Islam's longest fight was the first Volk.
I forget when the fight card was, but it was against Gaethje for the BMF. I don't know.
Yeah. And this will be his first fight back.
Let me see. What was his last fight?
He's also 35 years old. You guys know that 35 years old
DP's 40.
title fight.
DP's 35?
What's it?
Yeah.
Really? Oh, I thought he was older than that.
Fighters above the age of 35 are like 2-36 in title fights.
Randy Couture, Dan Henderson.
Welterweight down.
Okay, so you're pulling stat.
No, that's just what the stat is.
You're making stat. You're like this.
For the specific weight classes, though.
Well, those
Because
weight
Glover
classes-
Teixeira, I was
The
going
only
to say,
person
above 170.
The only person that has won title fights at welterweight and below was Tyron Woodley.
To be fair, based off of my argument, though, I will say he hasn't made it into a fight in the championship rounds since 2021. So Islam. So if it gets to the 4th and 5th round, I think it'll be very.
He went 5 rounds with Volk in 2023.
But
But I'm saying before that. So that's his only 2 fights in the last 5 years that have been full fights. And I will say, Volk definitely looked a little better, in my opinion, in those later rounds as opposed to the first 3 rounds.
In the 5th round for sure, yeah, but Islam still won the 4th.
Well, as we get older, we can't sustain. So your aerobic cardio peak is between like 18 and like 24, 25. Your physical man strength is like, 30 to 35. And then there's that sweet spot in the middle, like 27, 28, 29, 30, where you're hitting. I think most Olympic gold medalists are like in their 30s in wrestling. And then there's always the young ones at the lighter weight classes because maybe their bodies have less damage or have cut less. So all of those are important. You saying that he's 35 and me forgetting that he was knocked out a year ago does change things a little bit. But I'm still gonna go with Poirier on this, just so that one of us eats and the other one.
That's
One of
true.
us.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so polite of you.
Well, that way
It was either me and Joe the whole way, or
you have to split it up,
split it up.
like Omar here.
And then you say Islam. I say Poirier too. Yeah, that one's.
Oh, I want to change my answer if Brandon picked. Dang it!
Well, you think Brandon's bad luck or something?
No.
Oh, okay.
I might be. Who knows?
We'll find out.
We'll find out. Whoever's bad luck's paying for Chipotle.
I don't know, dude. I like Poirier. I don't normally pick with my heart, but for this one, I got it.
Didn't you owe him for the kick? Did you take care?
Oh, I got him food today. I don't ever
Bushfire.
do-
You gave me bushfire.
I don't make another bet unless I'm already up to date.
What's the worst thing that you've ever lost in a bet? I lost my eyebrows the day that I gave my first black belt out.
Wow, that's a pretty bad.
What was the bet?
I bet my friend John would beat my friend in a grappling match, and my friend John choked. Literally got caught in a guillotine, and I had to shave off. I shaved him off right then and there. Then I went on and went to give my first 2 black belts out ever that I had given. So the picture with me and my black belts with no eyebrows. My kids called me lonely face. 2 weeks later, I had to go on the Steve Harvey show, and they had to paint them on my eyes, so it was awkward.
That's a big bet. I don't know what I don't know I don't know the worst thing I've lost in a bet. Now you've got me thinking about it. So
Honestly, I think like
Nothing like that though.
I got flossed in Vegas one time, and I barely had enough money to get home. That was like the worst. That was the worst one.
Yeah.
But I was poor then. So
Joe's lived a more exciting life than we all have.
Yeah.
Well, like people don't care. Like I don't care about money. Like, but you watch somebody's attitudes change when you're like shave your eyebrows. I've had bets with friends where my friend Rudy had to grow out his hair, and it was cool. We gave him an out that like after like 3 months he could buy out of it, paying the person that he owed the bet to, and he did, and it got him out of it. But it was going to be my friend Adam or Rudy, and Rudy like just started letting his hair grow, and then we photoshopped pictures of him with long hair. Oh, it was great.
Like Fabio.
It was great.
All right, I like these picks. I think this is going to be an interesting card. Anything we're looking forward to in the near future with any of you guys?
I've got
Do
nothing.
you have anything lined up? You guys have
He's
anything?
gonna come back in August. I think that's his plan. I got nothing on the books, but
Come for a smoke
He's
somebody.
ready for
but I'm ready for anything. Yeah,
You gonna try to get dropped again and then win in the next round?
not anymore.
No
No
more
more-
fight of the night or
No more striking, bro. We're shooting
motivated
off
by
the
me,
first 4
And
seconds.
then he realized, damn, that's a lot harder than it looks. And then he went through it and was like,
Yeah, I'm done with exciting fights, guys. No more fight of the nights. Just
no more fighting the nights.
Live by the sword, die by the sword.
Yeah.
What was that like? Like when you get like hit like that?
You tell him.
He can't remember.
yeah, I can't remember.
Oh, you don't remember?
I mean,
Dude, we were talking about this the other day about concussions and stuff. I was like, all right, so what do you like remember? He's like,
See, I don't remember
Like,
if
you
I
remember the second
remember or
round?
not. That's the thing.
no, I don't, no.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was talking about. I was noticed because somebody sent Dan a message when he was in the room with me the other day, and it was a recording of Bisping after he knocked him out at UFC 100, and he didn't even know the fight was over.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like he like stood up when they were like talking to him, and they were like, "You got knocked out," and he's like, "What?"
Didn't he think he was like?
No.
No, it was before the fight. He thought it was like before the fight. He literally went back and
He thought he was still in like training camp for like 3 months out.
No way.
I swear, I feel
I
like
think so. I think so.
Seen that somewhere
yeah.
about the fight.
It was a short
You
clip that I
literally
saw on
get knocked
Instagram.
back all the time. Yeah.
Have you ever had a moment like that?
I got dropped in my last fight, but I wasn't concussed to the point where I didn't like know what happened.
Mm.
I've been concussed maybe twice, once in fight, one in training. And the one time in a fight, I remember it, but like I got to the back and I puked right after, and I knew like everything just started to like close in on me, and I was like,
Did you feel like hazy? Or?
oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I was like, oh, I'm definitely.
Have you ever?
Well, I realize now, Jens Pulver knocked me out when I was 17, but looking back at it, I remember fully everything. I think it was the pain of having a broken orbital that was excruciating. And so the next time something similar happened was against Mac Danzig. I remember it was a $100,000 bonus, and I rocked him with an overhand, and so I was stepping across to come with a left hook, and then the next thing I know, the doctor was like, "Hey, what day is it?" And I'm like, "What? Oh." And I realized, you're just sitting there, and I could not tell him the day, and I was scared, but I didn't want to assume it, so I just kind of played with everything. But I actually remember everything up until the cutting across the body and getting caught, and so I waited to call I was like, I got to call my kids and my wife at the time and let them know that I'm okay, because I was in Canada, and I looked at my phone, the date, and I was able to tell them the day, and then I called my kids.
So just like deleted like 10 seconds from your memory, basically.
And then on The Ultimate Fighter, I got knocked out. And when that happened, I remember, because it was like Trump was in office, there was this whole like Muslim ban people were talking about, and we had agreed to pray.
Still here, brother. Never left.
We agreed to pray after the fight. The Muslims and the everyone, didn't matter. We just afterwards all got together and prayed, and I was so thankful that I remembered that after going through all of that, and I was able to get up and smile and say thank you, and we went back and we all prayed together, and that helped us bond, and it made me feel a lot better, that I was able to keep that integrity. And I remember exactly everything up until that point, and then you wake up, and then you're well rested if you're in a good spirit.
Yeah.
Do you remember why that was that they were trying to do that?
What the?
The Muslim ban thing, or whatever?
I didn't do anything, bro. It was just my cousin back there.
It
He's like, I just keep knocking out your people.
I'm pretty sure that
Undefeated against Marines.
I
Yeah.
think that was pushed, more or less through the media than it was. I think the actual it wasn't just on Muslims. It was specific Muslims that were on terrorist watch lists and stuff,
FBI watch
and it was
lists.
anyone that was on the terrorist watch list, but they specifically were like, "Oh, this," and so we took it very serious because we're in the house. We just are told what reality is because we're not
You don't have
outside, and so all of a sudden we're like, "Oh man!" So to us, it was a big deal.
That's all of us.
Yeah.
It's like where you get your news from.
Yeah.
Because the people over in other places aren't saying the same things that we're saying. I can tell you that.
Yeah, absolutely. That's why it's important. Like they say, don't talk about religion or politics at the dinner table. Wait a minute. At that dinner table, that's the closest people around you. Why aren't you talking about religion and politics? Those are the people that you can get heated with and understand. Wait a minute, and oh wow, that's the other point. Like that's the best time to talk about it.
Right.
Well, just having like a concise dialogue with people, and like understanding.
Well, that's the biggest problem.
Hear how we have boots on the ground in Gaza now?
Yep.
Yeah.
Fucking wild, huh?
Yeah.
They're like, did you see? They had that interview with the guy, and he's
Technically, we've always had.
We've always had boots everywhere.
Yeah.
well, they're making that. They're making like a pier,
Okay.
so it's not technically in Gaza. They're in the water near it.
Just in case things. Yeah.
So it's like,
U.S. has bases all over the world, man.
yeah.
Things pop off, we'll be there.
Oh wow, we're the only people that are really like that, huh?
Well, it's better to be ready for war and not need it than not be ready for war and need it. And I have friends that are like, "Oh, what are your feelings on that?" I was like, "I coach Muslim students. I coach people from Palestine. I coach people that are from Jordan and people that are Jewish." And
Especially in the fight game, huh? Because there's a lot of
People from everywhere.
we try not to allow those feelings because, like, it's the same reason. Like sometimes in fight gyms, you'll notice like there'll be more racist jokes or you lose.
There's always a Strickland in every gym.
But you'll lose, and your best friends are the ones making fun of you first because they're trying to, like, if you can get it through them, if somebody you don't care about says something to you, like,
Yeah.
That's about toughening up here and here, and it's a weird thing, right?
That's
People
probably
don't get it.
that's their messed up way of seeing their friend get beat up also too.
Yeah.
2 days after my last fight, my friend's group chat was just flooded with me getting dropped with like every like caption imaginable over it. Yeah, like nobody trolled me more than my friends.
Do you remember at all when you were in Iraq? Like, is martial arts like pretty big over there?
Not really. No,
really?
soccer mainly.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It's so hot to play soccer.
I feel like out here
It's like they're an international sport, pretty much. Yeah.
We have a decent team. Like our team competes in like that side of the world, like the Asian Cup.
Oh yeah.
Well, you guys that's where you guys are at.
But they what
are
I
on
meant
that
is
side
like
of the world.
they do decent in their like brackets. I don't keep up with soccer. I just see the news every now and then. I'm like, oh, they won 6.
It does seem like martial arts is getting a lot bigger over there, though. Those Abu Dhabi shows are pretty crazy.
Yeah. Martial arts in general is getting bigger, and they're having more shows everywhere.
Their first card in Saudi Arabia is in June as well. Like Hamza versus Robert Whitaker.
That's
gonna-
Saudi Arabia. That's
Can't to hopefully one day headline one of those cards. Fight in front of my people. My family from Iraq could probably travel there. Yeah.
I feel bad for the camera guy that has to record Hamzat's walkout for that because he's going to be so exhausted.
Yeah, he's gonna be sprinting to the cage.
Running through the thing. He's the guy. You see that one guy that when he did the last one, he's like trying to like keep up with him, and he's just like they tried to cut to him like for a second, and then he was just gone. Like you couldn't even see him, so they just didn't use the shot like ever again. It was so funny. All right, we'll wrap this up. I'm rambling. Appreciate you guys. Thanks for coming in. Thanks for coming back from.
Good job, guys. Yeah.
Thank you for being a honorable champion.
A lot of bad things happen on cruises, international waters. Glad you're back.
Hey, I didn't go to jail, so that's all.
At least you didn't jump off because of a bet too.
Yeah, that too. I wouldn't bet that. That's too much.
Bye, everybody.